Welcome to the program. Let's get right to the news. Mike Huckabee has quit his Fox News show to consider a 2016 bid.
Woohoo!
So we have,
now
that.
it's fixed.
Now we have that going. So we have Jeb Bush, possibly Mitt Romney, and Mike Huckabee.
Oh,
this is going to be good. Now let me give you some insight on what really happened here. Mike, let's just pretend that I was an advisor to the Republican Party. And I cared about the Republican Party, which I want to make it very clear, I do not. But let's just say that you're wargaming, and you're giving advice to people, and you're giving advice to Mike Huckabee, and he comes into your office and says, hey, should I run?
Your immediate response should be no.
Yes. But if I care about the Republican Party as a progressive entity,
that's the key, as a progressive entity.
Mm-hmm. I say, oh, my gosh, yes. Not because I think Mike Huckabee has a chance of winning, because he doesn't have a chance of winning, but because Mike Huckabee will bifurcate the vote for Ted Cruz. Let me explain. The real
First explain bifurcate, because that's a very little used word. It's not as appreciated as it perhaps once was. Where did you come up with bifurcate?
I don't know. What word would you use?
I don't know.
Chop up into little pieces.
Divide into groups.
Split the vote, how everyone else would say it.
All right, whatever. Okay.
Everyone said it since 1910.
We're going to bifurcate the Republican Party.
Shut up, both of you. All right, so here's what. Here's what's going to happen. The real problem here, the way to make sure that Jeb Bush is not elected, is to make sure that the path for Ted Cruz is wide open. To make sure that nothing falls in the way of Ted Cruz. So what falls in the way of Ted Cruz? Well, a couple of things. One, Rand Paul. Two, other Christian evangelical types. Okay? So you have, in that category, I think to some extent you have Mitt Romney, but not really. We saw how, everybody went crazy. The evangelicals went nuts for Mitt Romney, but he's a good Christian man who blah, 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 blah. The next one is Rick Santorum. Rick Santorum actually has some good, solid, especially Catholic base.
That finished second last time.
Yeah, that could hurt somebody if you are going for the religious vote. The next one would be Mike Huckabee. Mike Huckabee will take the evangelicals. So now what you've done is by entering Mike Huckabee, you have split the religious vote. And you've split the religious vote, and you've what did you say? Chop it up into little pieces? Split the vote between Huckabee, now Santorum, maybe Romney to some degree, and Ted Cruz. Because Ted Cruz is going to get his support from two places. One, constitutionalists, and constitutionalists that lean libertarian, constitutionalists, libertarians, and faith-based people. The only other person that can stand in Ted Cruz's way, I think, is Rand Paul. Because Rand Paul is going to be taken out by the New York Times and everybody else. And here's how they're going to take him out. They're going to take him out by saying, one, he's too radical. He's just too radical. He's crazy. He's he's nuts. He wants to destroy. This will happen after Ted Cruz is out. Rand Paul is just too radical. He's too crazy. He wants to destroy the government, blah, 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 blah. Then they will also say about Rand Paul, and they'll say this in positive ways. Well, he doesn't have an awful lot in common with, talk about passive-aggressive. He doesn't have a lot in common with the evangelicals and the Christian and the deep religious people. We're not even sure where he stands on Israel and all these things. They'll say all of those things, but they'll passive-aggressively post that as a very good thing. that he really doesn't have those deep connections that should be so worrisome. So what they'll do is they'll take Ted Cruz out by chopping up the vote and breaking up the block of the religious vote.
Good way to put that would be to bifurcate those groups.
Don't dumb it down for us. We're not idiots.
I mean, we're not simpletons here.
Take him out by bifurcating the religious vote.
Okay, now I understand.
Then, and if there's anything left, let the divide the libertarian constitutionalists. Let Ted Cruz go away. Leave Rand Paul in, and then just clean the floor with Rand Paul.
Oh, and after he is left standing,
you have Jeb Bush.
Yeah, Jeb Bush. Or
Mitt Romney.
Yep.
Wow,
That's
what a
wonderful
really
future.
Yeah, I know.